Let's talk now about how the hospitality sector is going to fare, particularly in places that are under Tier 3 measures where basically they're not even allowed to open up under the new measures to be announced post-lockdown from December the 2nd. Greater Manchester is one of the great cities that is affected by that new law and new rules. Sacha Lord is the nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester, and he joins us now. Good morning to you, Sacha.
Good morning, Julia. How are you?
Very well. Well, there was good news for London and Liverpool and other parts of the country yesterday, but Greater Manchester and Birmingham, I think, were the first two cities we found out about which were going to go into Tier 3, along with Bristol and, just huge number of other big cities and indeed many rural areas as well. But how much of a hit is being put into Tier 3 for your nighttime economy?
It's massive. I can't tell you how big a deal this is. And my language has tried to be quite diplomatic over the last few weeks. But, I can't hold back on my words anymore. The government has stabbed the sector in the back. It's that simple. They've asked us to spend millions and millions of pounds putting these new measures in place to remain closed. And I think now that the whole of the UK, not just Greater Manchester, I think the whole of the UK realise that this government have got it wrong when it comes to hospitality.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? They were told, if you put all these screens and you take a load of tables out and you do this, you do that in table service, not bar service, then things would be safe. We did see, didn't we, 4th of July, pubs, restaurants, bars reopened. We saw no spike whatsoever. You can look at the graphs for every single area, even places like Devon and Cornwall, where there were hundreds of thousands of people racing down. The bars and the restaurants absolutely packed in an area they hadn't seen any infections previously. We did not see any rise whatsoever in infections. Even the test and trace evidence suggests it's something like less than 4% of cases traced back to a pub or a restaurant. And again, certainly not the pubs or restaurants where people are actually, the strict enforcement of those social distancing rules. Why do you think everyone is so keen for bars, pubs and restaurants to be blamed? And in particular, as we see in Tier 2, bars or pubs that don't serve a substantial meal with a pint or a glass of wine. Why is everyone so keen, without any evidence whatsoever, to blame the hospitality sector?
I don't think they are. I think there's a small amount in the cabinet that are making these decisions. We have said consistently since March, work with hospitality and we will help you understand exactly how it works. We've offered the advice and we've consistently been ignored. It just does not make any sense at all. Why can I walk into my local supermarket and watch people pick packages up, pick tins up, look at dates, put them down, walk around freely? Shopping centres, people can walk around freely. You can walk into your hairdressers while somebody's ruffling their fingers through your hair. At the same time, you cannot walk into a restaurant through a one-way system and sit at a table that's socially distanced 2 metres away, that's cleaned every hour, it's got hand sanitizer on the table. It just does not make any sense at all. And I'm sorry, there is a chance that possibly places in Greater Manchester could reopen in Tier 2 come the 16th if they're serving substantial food. And the R rate in Greater Manchester is dropping off a cliff.
Yeah.
And I think come the 16th, we'll see whether they decide to play politics. But I'm speaking to pub owners who serve food as well, and they're saying, look, the government don't understand it. At the moment, the breweries aren't brewing because they've had to throw hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of beer away. You can't just open a pub up at the click of a finger. You have to order the barrels in, you've got to staff it, you've got to restock it. And there's a chance that potentially because of this 5-day Christmas break, they're going to shut us down again immediately after. So that people are saying we're not going to bother. It's just ill thought out. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous.
But even in Tier 2, we've been talking to representative of the hospitality industry, Kate Nichols, who is pointing out that actually 3/4 of pubs and restaurants aren't viable even in Tier 2 as well, simply because people, if you're not allowed to mix with another household, it's just husband and wife. Me and my husband, we're going to go out for dinner next week in London because we're allowed to, but we're not allowed to go out with anybody else. And there comes a point when you're going to go, well, we've had that conversation. People go out to restaurants and bars and pubs to be with other people. If you're not allowed to do that, it doesn't really become something people do.
No, you're right, Julia. But how about this? So if you're in Tier 2, you can actually go for lunch or for dinner, and you can see social activity at other tables, and you can buy drinks. But actually, what about those wet-led pubs? Those pubs that are local community pubs, the pubs that don't serve food. those pubs will not make it till spring. They won't. And the majority of those pubs in Greater Manchester are actually in our most deprived areas, the areas where the lowest paid people work. So it feels to us almost like an attack on class culture. Why is it right that some people can afford a meal, can see social activity, whilst the lowest paid can't? And I was speaking to a landlady on Wednesday in one of our most deprived areas. And she was saying to me, she only pulled out £200 a week as a wage. She has elderly people that come in there. They've lost their partners who they've been married to all their lives. And they sit there, they buy a pint and they talk for 2.5 hours. And they are socially distanced, and that is the moment that they look forward to. And those community pubs is not just about the pub. It's not just about buying a pint. It's there to support people's mental health.
Absolutely.
It's for them to get out. And it is wrong. I'm sorry, this government are absolutely clueless. They really are.
Sacha Lord, I think you're speaking for an awful lot of people. Well, we get to talk to a government minister up next, Housing Secretary Robert Jenrick, but really appreciate it. Sacha Lord, Nighttime Economy Advisor for Greater Manchester in Tier 3. I think you can hear a lot of the anger there, understandably. Thank you very much to